Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into something, well, something pretty concerning. It's a trend that experts say is brewing in our schools, and it forces us to ask some really tough questions about society and the values we're passing down.
Let's just start with this. This quote, it's a really stark warning. And it's not just some throwaway line for a headline. No, experts are saying this is a diagnosis of a real fundamental shift in how young people are thinking. It really sets the stage for everything we're about to get into.
So, what exactly is this crisis we're talking about? Look, it's not just about a few kids acting out here and there. The experts we're looking at describe it as something much bigger, something systemic, kind of growing quietly right under the surface. And at the very heart of this issue is this growing sense of, well, indifference. It's this belief that rules just don't apply to you, that authority can be totally ignored. And experts, they see this as a huge red flag, a major warning sign for the moral foundation of the entire next generation. Okay, now, let's shift from the abstract to something very, very real. A tragic event that brings this whole crisis into sharp, absolutely devastating focus. This is where theory crashes into a horrific reality, and it forces every single one of us to pay attention. This all happened at a secondary school, a place that's supposed to be a sanctuary, a safe space for learning and growing up. And this single event just shattered that fundamental sense of safety. And this whole tragedy unfolded with just shocking speed, right in the middle of a normal school day. Think about it. At 9:30 in the morning, a teacher hears a scream. Just a few hours later, a student's life is gone. The sheer speed of it all just sent absolute shockwaves through the entire community. And then there's this number. It's just chilling. The suspect arrested for the killing was only 14 years old, a fellow student at the very same school. You can bet the police are treating this with the utmost severity. They found two sharp objects at the scene. Now, the motive, that's still unclear, but initial findings apparently don't point to bullying. And the charge? It's murder, the most serious one you can get. So this gives you the legal context, and it is incredibly severe. In Malaysia, the minimum age for criminal responsibility is just 10 years old. A murder charge could mean decades in prison. It really shows you just how seriously the system takes this, even when the person accused is still a child. And this quote from a state leader, it just cuts right through all the legal talk and the procedures. It's a gut punch, really. It reminds us of the profound, unimaginable human cost of this whole tragedy, especially for the victim's family.
And this is really the question that hangs over everything, isn't it? It forces all of us to look past the crime scene tape and start asking, why? How on earth does a place that's meant to nurture our kids become the scene of such a violent act? All right, so let's try to diagnose this. Let's dig into what the experts believe are the root causes here. Because you see, this tragedy isn't being looked at as just some random act of violence. It's seen as a symptom of much, much deeper problems. This quote from an expert really puts it into perspective. When an act this brazen happens in broad daylight, right under the nose of the system, it's a huge signal that something is deeply, deeply wrong. It suggests that all the checks and balances we think we have, supervision, moral guidance, discipline, they might be failing. And the experts are pointing to a whole mix of things. It's never just one factor, is it? We're talking about a combination of moral decay, weak enforcement, peer influence, and becoming desensitized to all the explicit stuff online. Even the way we obsess over grades instead of character, that's being pointed to as part of the problem. And according to one education advocate, Dati Noor Azima Abdul Rahim, there's been a massive shift over time. Think about it. Discipline used to be swift, clear, and parents almost always backed the school. But now rules are seen as negotiable. And the moral authority that teachers used to have, which was once second only to parents, well, that's been seriously eroded. So when you have that erosion of authority, that breakdown in discipline, it leads to a really dangerous new mindset for some students. It's this belief that what you do, it doesn't really have any real-world consequences. And this is a really important distinction to make. It's not that kids have zero morals anymore. No, it's more that some of them are operating under what one expert calls a dangerous illusion of impunity. Basically, it's the belief that they can do whatever they want and get away with it. And here's the crucial link experts are making. All that constant media exposure. The values kids absorb from streaming shows, from video games, from social media.
they can directly clash with the norms of society. And being exposed to it 24/7 can actually normalize harmful acts and completely warp a young person's sense of consent, respect, and accountability. Okay, so after that pretty sobering diagnosis, the conversation, thankfully, is now turning to solutions. What do we do? What's the path forward to start rebuilding safety and reinforcing those core values in our schools and really in our communities?
And the answer seems to be that the response has to be, well, everything, all at once. It has to be comprehensive. Officials and advocates are calling for a truly coordinated effort. That means enhancing school safety, boosting mental health support, launching public awareness campaigns, and taking a long, hard look at the entire disciplinary and moral education framework.
The good news is, this isn't being swept under the rug. The Education Ministry has come out and called this a strong wake-up call. They're seeing it as a catalyst to really tackle those systemic weaknesses and make sure schools are genuinely safe spaces for everyone. But here's what experts are really stressing. The real path forward is all about prevention. Yeah, that means stronger supervision and better training for teachers. But it also means going deeper. It means fostering an environment of actual awareness and accountability. And how do you do that? Through honest conversations about consent and respect, consistent moral guidance, and of course, getting parents involved and on board. Because ultimately, this isn't just a school problem, is it? It's a societal one. The way we all behave, the things we tolerate as a society, that's what shapes how the next generation sees justice and morality. It's a responsibility we all share, 100%. And that really brings us to the final and maybe most provocative question this whole tragedy forces us to look at. In our race to get the best grades and pass exams, are we failing to teach our kids what truly matters? Are we forgetting to build character, empathy, and a strong moral compass? That's a huge question, and it's one for all of us to think about long after this explainer is over.